Well, happy St. Patrick's Day and welcome to the Webinar Talk Show. I'm Eliz Green.
And I'm Tom Singer, and Eliz and I love hosting the Webinar Talk Show because we get the opportunity to showcase how great information can come across as more than a talking head over PowerPoint.
Yes.
That when we do really good interviews with smart people, people can learn and the audience can be more engaged.
Absolutely true. And today we have a really smart person who is also an excellent interviewer. And he has been unbelievably generous to me and just brilliant. He's interviewed me a couple of times for his clients, and in addition to having put little Post-its in his copy of my book, which is a mark of an excellent interviewer, he has also dropped so many nuggets of wisdom about how to market and how to be a standout in the marketplace. And what he says is he's the guy that helps you find the customers that want to give you money.
I need that. I want that.
Who doesn't want that? Please welcome to the Webinar Talk Show, Steve Miller. Yay!
No pressure.
Hey, Steve. Welcome.
No pressure.
I think you're up to the task. When we were talking recently, one of the things that just grabbed me, and I know it is definitely related to your book, Uncopyable, but you said that you advise your clients to stop looking to their competition for new ideas. And honestly, it made me sit back a little bit and go, ooh.
I hope so.
I love that thought of don't look to your competition. And I think about it as a speaker. How often do we look at other speakers and say, I'm going to do that same thing? Or as meeting planners, how often do we look at someone else's conference and say, I've got to structure it just like that? So This is going to be a great conversation because I'm excited to hear who should we be looking at if it's not our competition.
Right.
That's right.
Who?
That's exactly right. In fact, that was one of the big complaints. I shouldn't say big complaints, but I first joined NSA back in, I think it was 1986, and it was still fairly young. But we would go to the conventions and or listen to Voices of Experience, which was the monthly thing back then, and something happened that was real interesting because after a few years, all of a sudden, everybody's marketing materials looked exactly alike.
Right.
And it became very apparent within the membership that was happening. And they're all going like, why is this happening? We're going, well, duh. You're just talking to each other and you're saying, show me your marketing materials. Right. And guess what you did? You copied them. Right. Yeah. So that was something that I learned many, many years ago was that you cannot, if you need to study your competition, and I say competition like speakers look at other speakers, for example, or it doesn't matter. Any industry is guilty of the same thing. Right. And then you look at each other, and then you say, okay, that looks good. We can do that, and actually, we can do that even a little bit better. Well, guess what? They're watching you while you're doing that too. So I learned many, many years ago from a couple of very smart men that you only look to the competition to just to make sure that you are at the minimum viable product, okay, that you're actually doing something there. But if you want new ideas, you got to get out. You got to go study aliens.
Okay, where do we find these aliens?
Well, pretty much anywhere that you are not. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, I mean, I'm a student of NSA. I can't, I was a new speaker when I first joined NSA. I was paid $50. Actually, I wasn't paid $50. I was paid the equivalent of $50 I spoke for an office supply company and they paid me a $50 table, right?
Okay.
And I was overpaid without question in that first speech.
So Steve, I've been paid a lot of things. I've never been paid a table.
In furniture.
I've been paid other things too, so I got a great mountain bike that I got paid one time, and very expensive mountain bike. But that's also an example of the types of stuff that I do to separate myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm working with any client, one of the things that I always do with them is I take them to places. Like I was working with Caterpillar one time. I spoke at their national sales meeting. I also was involved in consulting with them, and I took Caterpillar to, and they wanted to learn how to do innovative thinking. And I said, okay, well, we can't study the other guys. We're not going to study the John Deeres and people like that. So I took them to the American Girl place in Chicago.
Oh. Okay.
And of course, I couldn't tell them that. We were on a bus from the outskirts, and I don't remember exactly the city that they were based in, but we took the bus in, and I didn't tell them where we were going. And we pull up in front of American Girl place. I say, "This is it. This is where we're going." And I mean, they were kicking and screaming because it was basically all men and maybe one or two women. But they ended up spending about 4 hours inside of the American Girl because I had trained them on how to look at the alien encounter of American Girl. I said, look at the experience, look at how they're managing the experience, look at how they're moving you around, look at how they get you engaged, look at how they get you involved. And what they ended up doing was they ended up taking that experience at American Girl, and they took it back and used it in their training systems for drivers and heavy equipment operators and people like that. And there was a lot of what they took from American Girl that went into that project. So that's what I'm talking about when I say go look, and really anywhere, even those of us that are speakers, we can look anywhere for new ideas and come up with some great stuff.
So I love that example because I could probably, if you had quizzed me and offered me $100 to come up with the thing that is least like Caterpillar, I don't know that I could have even thought of American Girl, but that is like the absolute most alien thing for that. And so I love that example. So as we look to both speakers and people who plan meetings, where should they be looking?
Again, it's sort of there's a couple of ways to do it. And I know we only have a few minutes, so I'm gonna share very quickly what I teach. I teach a technique that I call stealing genius, and that's what I mean by this. Is that we're looking for alien organizations, people, experiences, things like that really have nothing to do with us. And then we go in, and we can go in with, so like let's say we start with the idea of and for those of us that are speakers, we could say marketing. All right, so we say, all right, marketing. All right, so who is an amazing marketer, who is really amazing at delivering, of being marketing. And then we would say, okay, so give me an example of a company that you think is really amazing at marketing that is not in the speaking, conventions, meetings industry. Give me an example.
Apple.
Apple. There you go. Apple. So what do we do with Apple? Number one, we know that they have physical locations. So we can go and look at physical their physical stores and steal ideas from them. Like, for example, one of the things that almost nobody knows because they don't notice it, because the experience is being, and I hate to use the word manipulated, but your experience, Apple is managing your experience when you walk in the store.
Absolutely.
How many words are on the walls of an Apple store?
None.
You already know it. You know the answer, but you don't realize you don't know the answer.
Right. I mean, I wasn't sure, but as I think of an Apple store, I can think of nothing on the walls.
There's only 2 words on the wall: Genius Bar. The rest of the walls are all graphics. So then as a marketer, I start thinking, okay, how can I use graphics to deliver my message, right? And I'm going to take that away. In addition to that, Genius Bar what is Genius Bar? What does it actually just mean? It just means customer service. That's all it means.
True.
Okay. So what they have done is they've created their own language. Who else has created their own language? Starbucks. None of us knew how to order a cup of coffee until Starbucks taught us how to speak Italian, right? Okay. So you're looking at, you can go into a Starbucks and you go, what are they doing? See, and I take it back into the speaking community. I take it back into my communications with my marketplace. And so we changed language. You might have noticed that if you saw my bio at all, I'm not a speaker. I'm not a consultant. I'm Kelly's dad, and I'm a marketing gunslinger. Okay. I'm forcing people to see me and use different language. And I'm also doing a couple of other things that are very subtle. Number one is I always say I'm Kelly's dad first, marketing gunslinger second. Kelly's dad is who I am. Marketing gunslinger is what I do. And marketing gunslinger is a phrase that absolutely, it does not say I'm a speaker. It doesn't say I'm a consultant. It doesn't say I do breakouts, I do keynotes, I do any of that stuff. Because all that stuff is just the media that I would use to either deliver my message or communicate what I need to do. What I do is I sit down with my clients and I say, what do you need? How do we solve your problem? And then we decide how we're going to deliver that to them. And I'm the resource that they use to do that. And that's one of the big things that got us through COVID here, is because I never positioned myself as a speaker. And so I wasn't in that box with all the other speakers.
Not in a box. Yeah. So I know I could see Tom pick up his pen and are writing, because this is some, as I said, nuggets of wisdom and brilliance. Let's turn our brains though towards.
And I'm old. I'm old, and I've made money in this industry now for 35 years. So when you make it this long, you got to have something to say.
Yeah, you got a track record. Let's turn our brains towards our event professional colleagues. And right now, everybody's thinking about what that next event is going to look like. Is it going to be hybrid? Are we actually going to get to be in person? How are we communicating? The value of attending to our members. And to be fair, lots of people have a smaller, discretionary income, right? Like that dollar is a little more precious right now for a lot of us.
Yep.
What is your suggestion for somebody who's like, I have this cool new event, it's gonna be great? How do we say to our members, yeah, guess what? This isn't the same thing that it is not going to be yet another Zoom.
Well, if you want to, one of the first things to recognize, and I don't know how many people in the speaking world, or the events world, I should say, because the events world is all over the place. Every company has events. Every company, small companies have, sales meetings, or sometimes they'll do offsites, and stuff like that. So everybody has events. So it's hard to keep up with everything. But you know what? There are a lot of companies who may never go back to doing face-to-face. And I'll use Microsoft as an example. Their annual, what do they call it? Their developer conference or something like that they would have, and they'd have a few thousand people at that thing every year. Well, obviously they had to, and I'm not going to use the word that is the title of a Sam Silverstein book.
We use the word pivot, or not pivot.
No, we
swivel.
No.
Swivel.
Pirouette. We pirouette.
Oh, that's right.
Is what we do.
Oh, I can do that too.
My smoking hot wife came up with that one, and and so they, and they pirouetted, and they created an amazing event online, an amazing event online. They had 500,000 people participating in their event, 500,000 people, and they've publicly announced they're not going back, because of that. Right. So you see, the thing is to go find those, and even though I'm saying they're in the events world, they're not the ones that we would typically look for, right? So the thing is, get out and look. Like there's a company called Sage Events. Are you guys familiar with Sage Events?
Yeah.
Study them like a hawk, because they're the ones who had to completely pirouette right out of the box, and they've had massively successful events with their clients. But another thing that I would be doing is I would be asking myself, let's go back to this thing here, okay? Let's go back to the money thing. One of the things that we've done out of our office to be a resource is, number one, now I don't know how much this would apply now. I still got to believe it does, but we immediately went right out to all of our clients and we call them our BFFs. Anybody who's on our list is a BFF. All right. Once again, terminology. It's our own term. Okay. And we went out to them and we said, we will teach you how to Zoom. We will teach you how to present in front of camera and talk to people one-on-one, which is exactly what we're doing. We're not talking to 1,000 people. We're talking to one person.
Right.
And we will teach you how to do that. And we will do it for free. Okay. So we have done, and my wife Kay has done a whole bunch of these things for a lot of our clients to help them be ready to go on to create an event. And then we've stepped up with them and we will talk with them about where are they budget wise. Okay. Most of the clients, yeah, you know what? The budgets are going down a little bit and, or did go down. And so we worked with them. But what we did was we worked out different types of deals where, my book, for example, my latest book, Uncopyable, just happen to have a copy of it right here. Right here. Oh, by the way, you notice the colors?
Yes.
I own a color. I own this color orange. All right. And if you own a color and you attach a word or phrase to that color, and then you just murder your customers with that color. If my clients were allergic to the color orange, they'd be dead. Because we send them stuff all the time, and it's in orange envelopes with orange business cards, orange everything, to where people will come. We get messages from them saying, "I cannot see the color orange without thinking of you." Hello, perfect. That's the objective. So then, what we've done is we've said to them, "Okay, let's work on this. We will do a program for you for and we'll work out a deal on the price. All right." And it might be much lower. But in addition to that, I do something that just makes them look like a massive hero to their base, right? Mm-hmm. And that's, I tell them, I will give everybody that comes on, the meeting or the event or whatever, everybody who comes on, I will give them a copy of my book in exchange for like $3.50 for shipping. I'll say, I will ship it to them for nothing. But here's what I do, because, sometimes they'll say, well, but we should pay for that. Our client will say, we should pay for that. We go, we don't want you to pay for that, but we're going to tell them you did. We're going to tell them that if this was part of our deal, and we say, as a gift for you from this association, from this company, from this distributor, whoever it is, right? We just go, as a gift, we will send you a copy of my book. Go to this link, or we'll say text, book to 66866, right? And we'll ask you for your address and your email. We will send you this book for $3.50, and it's an Amazon #1 best-selling book. Yeah. Okay. Hey man, we're winning all over the place with that, right? Because we got people's names and addresses and emails. And we follow up with people and we get them, we then, move them up into some of our products. Some of them have moved into our inner circle, where we have a monthly membership. Some of them have hired me to consult for them. So it becomes this win-win. And we're also planting seeds for the future. We're planting seeds for the future, because I don't believe the meetings or convention or trade show industry is ever going to be the same. And and that's where I built my success, was built on my very first book, which made I hate to say it, it's absolutely true. If you've not written a book, you are stupid. Write a book. Right? And, because when I wrote my first book, and it was called How to Get the Most Out of Trade Shows, the difference in my income for the next 10 years was, I'm going to say conservatively, was probably $3 million. Because my fees went up, I sold more stuff, I got more speeches, got more consulting, all that stuff. I don't care if I ever make a dime off my books. I just don't care. My books are the #1 marketing tool that I've got, and I give them away to everybody. Anybody who's on here right now that wants to get a book, I don't care. Send me, email me, and I will send you a book. And you don't even have to pay for it. If you're a speaker, you know what? We're paisan. We're buddies. And believe you me, I've been in your shoes. $50 table, and I was overpaid. Just remember that.
So Steve, you made a comment that you don't think the meetings and trade show business is going to come back the way it was. What's your prediction? What do you think is going to happen to that industry?
Well, I think in the beginning, the hybrid event is going to be huge, because I think there's a whole bunch of reasons why. And the biggest reason why I don't think it's going to come back is because there are a lot of people in a lot of industries. I have clients right now who they didn't have any of the trade shows. I do a lot of work in the manufacturing world. I do a lot of work in B2B. So trade shows are huge. Trade shows have been gone. We're helping our clients make millions of dollars right now through new type of marketing, new types of systems. But they're also not spending the tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to trade shows. And they're finding out that they can be just as successful without a trade show. So you got people like that. You got companies like that. And understand, I love trade shows. I mean, I built my business on the trade show world. And, and they've also found, like I talked about Microsoft, that the event sponsors have found that they can have bigger success, have more people come virtually. Some people are never going to be comfortable going back to shoulder crowds. I mean, I've consulted for, and I still have many clients, that are among the largest trade shows in the world. With 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, CES, the IMTS, broadcasters, those guys. These are massive events, but you got to be shoulder to shoulder. And you're going to somebody's booth and it's crowded, or you go to an auditorium and sit there with 5,000 other people shoulder to shoulder. I think some people are going to be still uncomfortable about that. COVID is not going away. COVID is the new flu. The only problem is it's year round. And, the pharmaceutical companies are already saying that we probably will need an annual booster. So it's going to be in front of us, as far as I know, for the rest of our lives. We all go get a flu shot every year. Right. It wasn't that long ago. It was like, 100 years ago, 30 million people died of the flu. So, that was worse than ever. But we're okay now because we take booster shots. And every year. Well, we'll do that with that, but it's going to impact also people, because some people are just going to go, I don't want to travel. It's the hassle. I mean, I think anybody who loves to get on an airplane is a sick person. I mean, especially now. I mean, it is the hassle factor of traveling is just off the charts.
Oh, but
I love it.
I get what you're saying.
You and George Walther are the two sickest people I know. Okay. I just got off a call with George a couple days ago, and I'm like, where the hell are you?
I went to Vermont to visit my college-age daughter last week, and you would have thought that I had a round-the-world tour. I was so happy to go travel.
I would. All right. But I've also had my 2 shots, so I'm going to fly down and see my daughter in San Diego. I will do that. But this idea of getting on a plane to go speak, in fact, my wife made the decision for me. I probably will not do another live speech again. I will do it all virtual. I grew up in radio and TV, so this is not a big deal for me.
Right. Well, and I get what you're saying about people's hesitancy to be shoulder to shoulder again. But I can tell you, not even speaking from the stage, which I do miss quite a bit, I've missed the experiencing something with a group of people. There's an energy to that is just, there's nothing like it. It's the concert of the live theater or the, really great speech where that's a physical reaction that you have in a group of people when you're, I don't think that's ever going away. I agree with you that it's probably going to be different as we move forward. Tom, at the beginning of this, before Steve came on, I said this was going to go fast.
It went very fast.
It went really fast. So,
I'm not done.
I know,
I'm a speaker, not a listener. That's what I always say. I always say that the NSA convention is 2,000 speakers and no listeners. So,
so Steve, since you're not done, what's one piece of advice you would give people across industry lines about how to better market today?
Empathy.
Ooh.
the biggest pirouette that we have taught our clients, and in the beginning, and this started early in COVID. In the beginning, it was just a wild ass guess on my part. Can I say that?
You just did.
And it turned out to be completely correct. See, here's the thing with people today. In the past, we had, and Starbucks was the one that woke me up to this, because when I was consulting for Starbucks, this was a big part of our project many years ago, where they said, okay, people have, the first place is their home, the second place is work. Okay, so for most people, not like us, where I just come downstairs, but and they would be kind of separate. They'd be kind of separate, right? Where you would get ready in the morning, feed the kids, get them off to school, stuff like that, and you would take your home hat off, and then you would, go out, get in the car, and pull away, and you'd put your work hat on. All right. So there was a little bit of separation, not a ton. Okay. Now it's this. Okay. Those two places are just like this. And so when we're dealing with customers now, we have to deal with them, especially now, even in the B2B world. You are people doing business with people, and we need to be much, much more empathetic for people. So, like, I'll give you a great example of gifts, that we encouraged our clients to start doing, and we've started doing. We no longer think in terms of gifts as being something cool that you send in the mail or by UPS or something like that. We now think in terms of what can we do to make their lives easier. We have sent housekeepers to people to clean their homes. We have sent landscapers to do their yard. You can hire a housekeeper or a landscaper for $100. When I've got a client who's potentially paying me thousands of dollars, $100 is nothing.
God, if someone sent me a landscaper to rake the leaves after the freeze and rains and winds, I'd buy from them whatever they were selling.
That's right. That's right. But what we're showing is empathy. Because one thing that I learned years ago, and I learned this fast, and I'm very good at this. I don't sell. Okay, I don't sell Steve. I sell what I can help them with. Remember I said I consider myself to be a resource, and my job is to make them look good. If it's an event, I want to make them look like just freaking the smartest person on the planet. And so I look for I look for things that are outside of my responsibility in the event. I look at the whole event. I ask them about everything that they're doing, because I am going to come up with ideas that's going to help make the entire event better. Things like and Elise, this. I go to clients and I say, we need to do a series of webinars for your clients. All right, because. Yep. Like for Zaresco, when I brought you in for that interview for Zaresco, we're teaching a company that's in the work truck industry. They build utility trucks and fleet trucks, and their customers. And I had Liz on so that we could talk about how they can manage stress better. Right. Okay. So, see, that's really where to me it's more like, how do I make them feel their life is easier, feel safer, and be heroes. And that's what I would. Empathy is to me was the biggest pirouette that Kay and I figured out, and we have been using that with our clients, and they are killing it. They are absolutely killing it. We got a text Kay got a text from one of our clients who builds tents for the event world. Okay, a bit like graduations and weddings and things like that, right? They build those things. Last year, their business, just like the rest of the event world, went to zero, right? And they just lost everything. Once we got them to shift over into this new approach, this new strategy, she texted her last week. This is still in March, and they had already written more business this year than they wrote all last year. And and she just said, there, we can't take all the orders right now. I said, yes, you can. You just keep taking the orders and go hire more people. So and that's the problem we want them to have, because if I help them with that problem, what do you think they're going to do? Like you said, Tom, I want them to do business with me until I die.
Right.
Which will probably be soon, but that's all right.
No, I hope it's a long time. You're fascinating, and Steve,
I'm an old white guy. You know what?
Yeah, but
I know Vito Sanborn, one of the older men. Cathcart's really old now.
He's my neighbor now. He moved to Austin.
So. That's right. He did. Yeah, he rode his Harley down to Austin. Yeah, good for him.
So Steve, I'll tell you what, it was great to have you, because you were truly uncopyable.
Thank you very much. Sorry,
Indeed.
I think I went over. So.
It was worth it. It was
you guys
definitely
are great.
worth it.
I appreciate you guys bringing me on.
Oh, we knew it was going to be great. So this was a great interview. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back in just a second. But Tom, we want to tell people where to find us. Today, not only St. Patrick's Day, but our first, I think, double interview day. I don't think we've ever done 2 shows.
2 shows in one day.
2 shows in one day. We have Joseph Jaffe joining us at 1:00 Central Time today. If you want to watch that, go to webinartalkshow.live. That's where you'll find us on Facebook. And if you wanted to know more about what Tom and I do for clients, where would they find us, Tom?
Hey, if you're interested in hiring Eliz and I, or Eliz or I, you can find out more information at webinartalkshow.com.
Fantastic. Steve, thank you so much for joining us today. This was... did not disappoint.
And I got to show you something real quick. Okay, because it's St. Patrick's Day. I wore a shirt underneath, but it's a very special shirt. It's the Four Seasons Landscaping. We sent those shirts to
a landscaping company thing that ever happened.
That was all right. Fantastic.
Thank you very much again. See ya.
Thank you. We'll see you, everybody, at 1:00 today. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.
Joseph Jaffe's great.